Hello everyone, welcome back to the YoRHa podcast. This is episode number 5. Now I've already done the main characters of Genshin Impact, at least the starting characters. So this time I wanted to do something a little bit different. Gonna dedicate this podcast episode to a friend of mine that I've known for a while. And this is like one of his favorite characters from the series. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the video. I'm WalkerOfNothing for any of you that don't know who I am. I do podcast videos, gameplay videos, just whatever I really feel like doing. You can find all my socials in the description, which I'll highlight later on in the video at the end. But without further ado, let's get into it. So for episode 5, we're going to be going over YoRHa number 9 Type S, also known as 9S from NieR Automata, which is a pretty popular game developed by Square Enix. We're going to be getting into the nuts and bolts, no pun intended, of just exactly who YoRHa number 9 Type S is. So 9S is pretty much one of the main protagonists of NieR Automata. Here we have quotes, in-depth details on his plot, voice actors, relationships, personality, gameplay, all kinds of stuff. So we'll start it off with a nice quote, which is of course going to be at the end of his route. There will be spoilers in this, so if you haven't played the game, I'd recommend you play the game first. So this battle will likely have a great effect on the outcome of the war. To be and our battle will continue for some time to come, but that's another story for another day. And that was a quote from 9S at the end of Route B, which there are 2 routes. You play as Route A first, which is 2B, and then Route B, which is 9S. And then after that, the game really kind of progresses in a different direction. YoRHa number 9 Type S, S stands for scanner, he is a scanner, or 9S is the duotragonist of NieR Automata. He changes to be the protagonist of branches B and D, as well as one of the main antagonists and final boss of branch C. So once you finish Route A and B, then Route C and D open up, and he is the main protagonist of B and D, and then he ends up being the main antagonist for Path C. So it gets kind of interesting. 9S is a scanner type android who served during the 14th Machine War. He has an attack function, but is an android that specializes in investigative purposes. A member of the automated infantry squad, YoRHa, who triumphs in hacking-based information collection. Not gonna try to pronounce the voice actor names because I'm very bad at that. But I'll pronounce their first names. English is voiced by Kyle McCarley and by Natsuki Hanane in Japanese. Here we'll go ahead and start to get into his personality. 9S in particular has a wide range of rich emotional expression, which makes him non-compliant with YoRHa standards. This is from the NieR Automata World Guide City Ruins Survey Report. Being a scanner model, 9S is naturally curious about the world around him, especially in regards to the machine life forms. Usually working alone, he, along with other S-type models, are deployed on the front lines and act as YoRHa's main intelligent gatherers. According to A2, 9S is a high-end model, implying he is among the newest scanner types. Being the newest model, he is more likely to dig deeper into YoRHa's secrets than his peers, and often asks questions that those around him say he shouldn't ask. So pretty much, being a newer model, he's more curious, he's got questions, he wants to know certain secrets that are being withheld. Of course, he shouldn't, because you just don't ask those questions. You just do your job, you shut up, and you go on about your business. For 9S, as you'll see later on, becomes a pretty big struggle for him. As a member of YoRHa, he has deep distrust of the machine life forms that now inhabit the planet, which is shown fully when an emissary from Pascal's village confronts him and 2B in the abandoned amusement park. Although not trusting the supposed peace treaty, his overwhelming curiosity causes him to agree to follow the machine to its home. As time progresses, 9S's opinions on machines changes as he learns more about them, eventually genuinely caring about Pascal and his villagers. In routes A and B, if he competes in the Colosseum and the flooded city, he expresses disgust at the resistance androids and their treatment towards the machines, which rivaled the cruelty he thought only humans were capable of. However, he cannot help but wonder if there is a part of him capable of such depravity. So what's great about this is 9S starts out with like everybody else. He's got a massive distrust against machine life forms because of what happened to humanity. But after meeting Pascal and his group of, I guess, foster android or machines, he starts to kind of change his tune. You know, he starts to kind of accept that, okay, there are good machines and there are bad machines. And when competing in the Colosseum, he expresses his disgust at the way the resistance androids treats the machines. You know, almost like, Roman gladiator style, where they just, throw in prisoners of wars and, have them fight each other or fight lions and stuff like that. Which he originally only thought humans were capable of this cruelty, but it turns out that machines are also capable of the same cruelty. And he has a deep-seated, part of him that wonders if he could ever be capable of something like that. Really deep insight there. In Route C and D, his opinions on the machines changes drastically. Following the collapse of the bunker and witnessing the death of 2B as a direct result, 9S goes on a warpath to kill every last machine. Blinded by grief and hatred, he tells himself that there is no meaning to anything the machines do as he goes through the resource recovery units despite knowing the contrary. This cognitive dissonance is only exemplified when he discovers that the YoRHa black boxes are made from machine lifeform cores, something he outright denies. His hatred for the machines is such that he destroys a helpless child core without hesitation, despite the meek protest of Pod 153. So here you can tell that his tune has changed a lot. He went from, seeing the good in machines to just absolutely slaughtering them, which kind of takes us back to, his thought where he was wondering if he was capable of such depravity. And once you enter Route C and D and witnessing the death of 2B, it completely destroys him. Like any logic or any reasoning that he had to think of the good in machines, that's gone out the window. He's just destroying everything, slaughtering them. It's pretty crazy. Despite all this, though, he still seems to regard Pascal in at least somewhat good light, albeit mostly non-verbally. 9S seems to be mourn for the loss of the village and appears to be concerned for Pascal after the machine has his memories formatted. When conducting himself around other androids, whether they be Resistance or YoRHa, 9S is generally cheerful, optimistic, insightful, and eager to help. 9S is also somewhat playful, as seen by how he fist bumps Pod 153 to show its affection. By his own admission, 9S model types aren't well known for their modesty, which is displayed with the Not That I Mind achievement/trophy. Also, by his own admission, he's not very good at adhering to YoRHa's protocol of forbidding emotions. He speaks rather informally to those he knows well, such as being rather dismissive of 210, with a tendency to waver off with yeah, or fine. That isn't to say he's informal to everyone. He calls 2B ma'am until she asks him to stop and displays respect towards those who command it, such as Commander White and the Council of Humanity, although he does believe the Council's broadcast to be stiff. So here we kind of get an insight into, his personality, how he interacts with other people, his informalities, his formalities. It also, highlights that they're not really well known for their modesty, which is displayed with the Not That I Mind achievement trophy. Spoilers, but if you want to get it, you pretty much have to self-destruct and blow his pants off, literally, and you have to be in that state for like 60 minutes, I believe. I want to say it's an hour, and then you'll get the Not That I Mind trophy. So you pretty much got to walk around, with no pants. It's actually quite comical. When held captive by Adam after the fall of Grun, it is implied for the first time that 9S has a darker side than he lets on. Adam goads him on, saying that 9S wants to hate, rip and tear into those around him. As a final taunt, Adam asks, "You're thinking about how much you want to blank 2B, aren't you?" With the censor being intentionally ambiguous, with the words kill and fuck being the most likely fill-ins. The darker side of 9S is also seen in Near Theatrical Orchestra 1-2020, where he has a hallucination of himself killing 2B, something which is referred to as a twisted desire. Knowing 2B's true designation as an E-type heightens these complicated feelings towards her, but he refuses to act upon them due to having a close connection to her. So this is interesting because Adam's trying to, goad his darker side of him, his emotions, to try to get him to do something that he knows he shouldn't do. It's almost like the little angel and the little devil sitting on your shoulder, trying to, argue and convince you that you should do this or you shouldn't do this. He actually struggles with that a lot, especially when confronting Adam. After 2B's death at the hands of the logic virus and A2, 9S's darker side overshadows his former personality. His change in demeanor is notable as soon as he wakes up in routes C and D, him being more quiet and subdued as he quietly asks, "Where's 2B?" Overcome by grief and rage, 9S's mission objectives change from simply fighting the enemy to enacting revenge against them in Day 2. His mental state suffers greatly during this time, with Pod 153 growing increasingly more concerned for him as he continues his quest to enter the tower. Gradually, his quiet rage grows louder and louder until it bursts forward at various points, from telling machines to shut up to erupting into a fit of laughter after stabbing the core of a resource recovery unit that he thought was 2B. His behavior becomes increasingly self-destructive and dangerous. Concerned for him, Devola and Popula plead for him to not die alone, a request that falls on deaf ears. So yeah, at this point, you could say that 9S has literally flown off the rails. Literally, metaphorically, logically, empathetically, emotionally, mentally. However you want to put it, he has lost his mind. After 2B died, something in him just flipped and he just turned into some, massive killing machine. And this may have been what Adam was hinting at when he tried to goad him into his darker side. And it looks like 2B may have been the only person that was really keeping him together, especially after all the time that they spent together. Through his deteriorating mental state, pieces of the 9S's former personality still shine through now and again. He is willing to help with menial tasks around the resistance camp, feeling particularly bad for how Devola and Popula get treated by their peers, and thusly offering to do their chores for him. By helping around the camp, 9S will eventually learn of an old human tradition regarding mourning. Moved by this tradition, and still grieving for 2B, he erects a grave for her, stating that he'll be with her soon, implying that he won't be living much longer. 9S is also seen to be caring for 2B, despite knowing her true designation at the end of Route D, where he uses his last breath to look at the sky and declare, "So that's where you've been, 2B." So, he hasn't completely flown off the rails yet. He does learn of, the tradition mourning, in which he erects a grave, a gravestone for her, in honor of this tradition. And when he says he'll be with her soon, he's pretty much implying that he's not going to live much longer. He's going to pretty much sacrifice himself. He's going to be a matri. So, relationships. Massive plot spoilers again. With 2B. 2B is 9S's partner and executioner. As of the prologue of Nier Automata, he had met, and therefore had been killed by, her 47 times, with a rendezvous at the abandoned factory being their 48th time meeting. Upon meeting at the abandoned factory, he is relatively at ease around 2B, even cracking a joke about making sure the enemy was actually dead before letting her guard down. Despite the shorter amount of time the pair are together at this point, 9S sacrifices his own memories to upload 2B's when he realizes that the fight against Ingeals is going poorly, demonstrating how quickly he had become attached to her. So this is pretty interesting. Considering 9S has been executed 47 times, and this is their 48th meeting. I don't know that I would be attracted to somebody that killed me 47 times previously, but I mean, hey, you do you, I guess. Throughout the course of the game, 9S and 2B's relationship deepens considerably. Although specific dates are not available, less than a month after meeting, 9S asks 2B to call him Nines for the first time, showcasing how comfortable he had become around her. He enjoys talking to her, even about subjects not relating to the mission. Despite 2B reprimanding him about this after they first meet in the abandoned factory, she eventually begins to enjoy his conversations, as demonstrated when she agrees to go t-shirt shopping with him when the war is over. So, the difference between 9S and 2B is very obvious. 9S is more laid back, not, kind of more informal, and 2B is more rigid. She's more, to the point, protocol, following orders. They couldn't be any more different from each other. Complete opposites. Despite the tranquility displayed outwardly, 9S harbors dark thoughts about 2B. As a result of him knowing about her true designation, before 2B's death, he's able to ignore these thoughts and even outright deny them. In the case of him getting pestered by Adam, however, after 2B's death, these feelings of hatred burst forth during certain moments, such as when he kills a manifestation of her in the soul box. He cannot control these thoughts and is ashamed of them, and deeply cares about 2B despite them. So this kind of just highlights more of the, the thoughts that he has about killing 2B. At this point, we're not exactly sure why he feels this way. I don't know if it's because she's killed him 47 times before and this is, just revenge. But we'll get to that, hopefully, soon. Potential romantic feelings. The true nature of 9S's relationship with 2B is left ambiguous, but it's at least implied he has deep, intimate, and potentially romantic feelings for her. 9S's unit data states that he harbors an unusually deep affection towards her. When asked what the specifics of their relationship was, Yokotaro simply replied, "No comment." Of course he did. In the Amnesia side quest, 2B becomes jealous of the attention 9S is giving another android, to which he responds with, "It's not like that." Oh, interesting. His pure rage towards A2 and the machines after 2B's death could be seen as a result of intense and debilitating heartbreak. In the Japanese dub and the story Precious Things, 9S refers to his memories of 2B as his treasure. Further, the end of the Gate Gathering Keepsake side quest has 9S erecting a grave for her as he recites a heartfelt eulogy. I'm not quite sure what it means to mourn, or even if we have a soul to concern ourselves with. But I hope you're at rest, 2B. Sweet dreams. I'll be with you before long. The complex and potentially romantic feelings 9S has towards 2B reaches ahead in the immediate aftermath of the fight against the 2B clones in the tower. In pain after losing his arm, he gently caresses her face before having her caress his. The tenderness of the scene is exemplified by the scene immediately following it, wherein he tears her arm off to use as his own, connecting them directly, which mirrors a thought 9S had at the end of routes A and B, as 2B chokes him to death. Okay, we're starting to get into some pretty dark stuff here. Yeah, I think 9S has some problems, but I mean, he lost the person that was closest to him, that you could even arguably say that he loved, and having her torn away from him, and then the cruel irony of fighting clones of her. I mean, it's a miracle this man is even still going. Like, you talk about resilience to the max. Like, the life is just beating him down and he just keeps going. "9S supports 2B in the abandoned factory to eliminate their target. After supporting her as she made way through the facility, 2B escapes without having found her target. 9S informs her that there is another facility across the bridge, but that's unusual for Command to get the location of a target wrong. 2B then tells him that they weren't wrong, as she is attacked by 2 Marks type units. A fight ensues, leading to 9S joining the fight, only to be slammed off his flight unit by the Angeals unit that had finally emerged. When Angeals is down, 2B makes her way to the top of him to find a mortally wounded 9S. He implores 2B to leave him to finish the mission and destroy the target. 2B hesitantly complies and takes his flight unit to defeat Angeals. After the target is destroyed, 2B and 9S reunite, only for 3 more Angeals to appear and attack them. 2B and 9S are forced to detonate their black boxes in order to destroy the Angeal, but their fates are left unknown." So that's pretty much the story of how 9S and 2B meet. A little bit of background on 9S here is 9S was born on January 30th, 11,942, having been deployed at 4:25 a.m. bunker time. He was a newly manufactured scanner model. It is revealed that after detonating the black box, both 2B and 9S's data is uploaded back to the bunker, where they are transferred to new bodies. But because there wasn't enough bandwidth and time, 9S chose to send 2B's memories back instead of his, causing him to forget everything about the previous battle with 2B. However, it is implied later that 9S only pretends to forget, as his memory is shown during the fight with the Soul Box boss. Among the various pictures, there are those that depict his time with 2B before his black box detonation. 9S is next seen taking care of the boot sequence for 2B, which serves as an introduction to the game's setting menu. Having been put in charge of her maintenance, he becomes 2B's partner and follows her to take care of the mission on Earth. Now we have endings, which there are quite a few of them. But these are the most important endings that actually matter. Flowers for Machines, ending A, narrated from 2B's perspective. Later, 9S is captured by Adam and held as a hostage to lure 2B to the copied city. Adam impales 9S to a wall in a cross-like manner, using this to taunt 2B, saying that, "I prepared this just for you." I mean, after all, we need something to fight for, don't we? After Adam's defeat at 2B's hand, 9S is rescued and sent back to the bunker for maintenance. He is absent until the final battle, but still attempts to help 2B in various ways. At the end of A route, while attempting to disconnect Eve from the network to stop him from receiving more energy, 9S's data is corrupted. After the final battle with Eve, 9S gradually transforms. Seeing no other choice, 9S asks 2B to finish him off, reassuring her that his backup data at the bunker can always be uploaded in a new body again. 2B protests, pointing out that although it's true, it comes at the cost of himself at the very moment they are talking, but eventually gives in and carries out his wish. Holding 9S's corpse in her arm, 2B breaks down, crying that it always ends like this. However, the machine's data transmission around the battlefield soon starts resonating with each other, and 9S intact consciousness is regenerated via the network. A route ends with 9S, now in a giant machine body, holding 2B in his hands while she narrates, "What is it that separates machines from androids like us? The machine has gained emotion, consciousness. The final screams they summon on the edge of death, they still echo within me." And this is ending A, which of course is narrated from 2B's perspective. Ending B or not to be, pun intended, I'm pretty sure, narrated from 9S's perspective, which is pretty more or less similar. There's not much on the B ending. The ending is identical to A route, except this time the two girls in red appear to witness 2B strangling 9S to death, and at the end, instead of 2B, it is 9S who narrates. And so, the final battle with Adam and Eve come to an end. This battle will likely have a great effect on the outcome of the war. 2B and our battle, will continue for some time to come, but that's another story for another day. And that's ending B. Ending C, meaningless code, which to get this ending you need to choose A2 in Route C, which will yield this ending. A2 decides to battle 9S, and near the battle's end, she cuts off his arm and hacks into his mind with Pod 042's assistance while navigating the mind of 9S. Pod 042 continuously warns A2 that the chances of removing the corruption plaguing 9S are slim at best. A2 suggests she has a plan, but Pod 042 strongly advises against harm against YoRHa units it supports, with A2 expressing admiration at the pod's loyalty. After discovering a slumbering 9S at the end of the labyrinth, A2 tells Pod 042 to take care of 9S's body while she tries to accomplish one more thing, destroying the tower. The body of 9S is lifted away from the site by Pod 042 per A2's instructions. A post-credit scene shows 2B's virtuous contract, embedded to a rock near a riverbank with 9S's backpack hanging on it. So that would be ending C, which these are the most important endings. There's like 27 or 28 of them, but a lot of them are like joke endings and require you to like leave certain areas, which will cause an ending. Ending D, Childhood's End, and if you choose 9S for Route D and play through his story, this will yield this ending. 9S fights A2 with severe malice and is almost overpowered by her. A2 hesitates as she recalls 2B's request and is impaled by 9S's sword. As A2 falls to the ground in a pool of her own blood, she stabs 9S, who falls right beside her, impaled on 2B's sword. He dies while attempting to get 2B's sword out of his torso, but to no avail. Pod 153 and Pod 042 attempt to evacuate 9S's memories. 9S recounts his past and his prior objectives, feeling a sense of loss over his functions. He is beckoned by Adam to join them on their ark. Realizing that the girls in red have decided otherwise and ending humanity, 9S is given the choice of going with the machine lifeforms aboard their ark. If he doesn't, in his final moments, 9S looks up at the sky and says, "So that's where you were, 2B," before shutting down. And that is ending D. Ending E, which is a very interesting ending. The end of YoRHa. Choosing to delete personal data and undergo the risk of doing it will yield this ending. Pod 153 announces the completion of the YoRHa project. As soon as Pod 153 asks to delete all personal data, Pod 042 refuses the directive, citing the creation of new data. Pod 042 rejects the command and in conclusion altogether and demands the salvage of data in order to bring about a new resolution. Pod 042 asked Pod 153 if they'd wanted the androids to survive as well. With Pod 153 at a loss for words due to a lack of authority on the subject, rebelling against authority, Pod 042 restores the data and parts to the deceased androids. The data encompasses all the memories that they've experienced, including the memories of A2, 2B's, and 9S's deactivated bodies, can be seen lying near each other while A2's is seen sitting on the edge of an open window with a dove perching next to her. According to the Automa Concert Script 5, Farewell, the epilogue for Route E's ending, it is revealed that 2B and 9S have been completely reconstructed by Pod 153 and Pod 042. 2B is able to reboot it normally, but 9S is unable to be reactivated because his memory has become corrupted. With the data unable to be recovered, 2B decides to search for a way to reboot 9S properly. After a time, Jackass mails 2B about finding a hint to repair 9S's memory storage in the collapsed ARC's tower. When she reaches the collapsed ARC's tower, 2B is able to retrieve the remnant machine lifeforms. Communication protocol in the end, 2B with the pod's help are able to awaken 9S with his complete memory. And that is ending E, which requires, choosing to delete personal data and undergoing the risk of doing it will yield this ending. Ending G, Hungry for Knowledge, acquired by neglecting the mission as 9S as the beginning of New Game Plus. 9S was last heard to say, "I can't control my curiosity about machines anymore. I'm leaving so I can study them as much as I want." He was never heard from again. This is pretty much at the New Game Plus, when you play on 9S's route, you pretty much just have to neglect to do the mission. Ending H, A Mountain Too High, which there's not really a whole lot of data on that one. If I remember correctly, this is one of the joke endings. J is also a joke ending, Bad Judgment. K and T, U and W. There's a lot more. I know there's one if you eat mackerel, or it's either mackerel or tuna, you'll get an ending. If you remove your OS chip, you'll get an ending. If you blow yourself up on the bunker, you'll get another joke ending. And then there's several other joke endings or endings that you'll get if you leave certain areas that you're not supposed to. Like where you're supposed to go a certain direction, but then you go in the opposite direction and you'll end up getting an ending like that. A little bit of intel description. This unit's official title is Model S number 9. While this YoRHa member possessed offensive capabilities, he's specialized skilled at information gathering and hacking. While 9S normally had a kind of personality, he began to exhibit hatred for A2 when she killed 2B, for whom he possessed an unusually deep affection. In a cruel twist, he also met his end at the hands of A2. Just a little bit of a intel description there. Some quotes from 2B we have are, "We were soldiers. We take pride in our service." 9S says he's mortally wounded. "Oh, thank you. Anyway, that takes care of the setting. What the heck? My pulse rate is rising. It seems to be back to normal now. How odd." This is his reaction upon being told there is something calming about your voice by 2B. I mean, if you want to call me Nines, it's totally okay, which is also what he quoted or said to 2B. "Once we eradicate the machine life forms, us soldiers won't have anything left to do. We'll enter a new age of peace, and when that happens, we should go shopping together. I could buy you, I don't know, a t-shirt, maybe? Something that looks good on you." And this was a comment on the commercial ruin when they went to the mall. 9S was talking about buying 2B a t-shirt. To his operator, just a few quotes here. "This is 9S, nothing to report. Weather's sure nice today, though." And then, "You don't have to be so formal all the time, operator, though I kind of like that about you." And then, "Are you worried about me?" So he's kind of flirty with to his operator. I thought he only had eyes for 2B, but I guess not. To 2B in the Amnesia side quest. Whoa, it's not like that. And then, she is pretty, but it's not. So you see, here we go again, another example of 9S's eyes wandering too far from his initial prize, I guess. Back this way again, what a pain. Comment when traveling during a mission. "I know it's our job and all, but these resistance types sure do use and abuse us, don't they? It's like they see us as a couple of gophers or something." This is his comments on the resistance camp. You see, total slave driver. Whoosh. This is his comment regarding the commander. especially when they give them complicated missions. Yeah. And that's his typical reply to things he doesn't like. And then upon witnessing 2B's death at A2's hands, oh no, 2B, no, A2, I'll kill you. So yeah, he pretty much just like, you know, flies off the rails right there. Don't you dare talk to me about 2B. And that's what he says to A2 after the God box boss battle. 2B models. I'm glad I got to see you here. I truly am. Removes his visor. I'll tear you apart. Every last one of you. And this is his pre-battle dialogue with the 2B model clones. 2B, don't worry. I'm going to kill you now. More battle dialogue with 2B models. And this is kind of, you know, where he's really gone insane. Pre-battle dialogues with A2. We aren't required in this world anymore. The commander, me, 2B, sacrificial lambs, all of us. Isn't that hilarious? Doesn't it make you laugh? Shut up. You killed 2B. That's all we need to kill each other. And then while also fighting A2, why do I desire the touch of something that no longer exists? I'm not quite sure what it means to mourn, or even if we have a soul to concern ourselves with, but I hope you're at rest, 2B. Sweet dreams. I'll be with you before long. And this again is his 9S recites a eulogy to 2B. And then, Pod 153, I order you to halt all logical thought and speech. This order shall remain in effect until you confirm the death of either myself or Unit A2. And this is beginning his battle with A2. Other appearances. 9S also appears in Sinolalis. 9S acts as 2B's major motivation for returning to her homeworld during the Nier Automata collaboration event story. He briefly appears during the ending monologue to explain that 2B's chips were malfunctioning and that he had repaired her. After 2B relates everything that had happened to her in the library, he postulates that she was merely seeing a projected simulation of reality, that it is simply corrupted data. He seems concerned about her well-being, but is happy to see her smiling. They resume their mission to return to the resistance camp after Samoan's defeat. If players pay 300 magical crystals to the limited time Nier Automata gacha, they may have a chance to receive 9S, Paladin, and the weapon that unlocks him, Cruel Arrogance. He is also the first male voice actor to appear in the social game. 9S's job story includes general summarization of his role in Nier Automata and basic character attributes. Similar to the description in official promotional material, the last level hints at his complicated past with 2B, stating that he has had a long documented history of being assigned as her support. In Servant of Thrones, 9S could have been earned as a legendary defense unit in the tower defense social game Servant of Thrones during its collaboration event, which was the first part of the Yokotaro Games collaboration campaign. He is a short-ranged melee fighter who could attack on the ground and in the air. His special skill allows him to hack enemies within the targeted radius and halt their movements. Players could have earned a super deformed icon that is based on his official artwork. In Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, 9S appears in a 24-man raid, The Copied Factory, in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers patch 5.1 as the final boss. In Soul Calibur 6, 9S mentioned in Character Compendium since 2B appears as a guest fighter on DLC. He also appears in a city ruin stage, standing on a large tree in the background, and is accompanied by Pod 153. The Shadowverse. During the collaboration event, 9S could be earned as a Nemesis leader skin for players' decks. His unique skill is You Won't Escape, which deals direct damage to a selected target on the field. Trivia. 9S states that he enjoys taking baths, even though they are not required for androids, describing that it feels good, man. While setting the voice volume during the menu tutorial, if one waits long enough, 9S will say, could you try and pick up the pace a little bit? This is getting embarrassing. Furthermore, if one stays too long in the menu, 5 to 8 minutes, 9S will state that he has reached his max storage limit and forcefully ends the boot process. Only 9S can hack into digitally locked chests, so he's the only character that can unlock the first secret boss battle. It is revealed in the novella The Memory Cage that 9S originally didn't possess Cruel Oath or any close combat weaponry. According to Nier Automata's guidebook, 9S's three sizes are B, 61 centimeters, W, 53 centimeters, height, 73 centimeters. His height is 160 centimeters, including boots. His weight is 129.9 kilograms. Whenever 9S self-destructs, his shorts will be removed. Considering the I don't really mind achievement. In the original release of the game, sometimes during the final boss battle, 9S would use his default model instead of the one with his blindfold removed and arm replaced. This was later patched. 9S is the only playable character that is dead by ending E according to the Automa concept script. Farewell. However, the concert itself shows 9S surviving. It is currently unknown which version is the canonical ending. When he is captured by the machines, Adam asks if he wants to blank 2B. In most translations of the game, the censored space is large enough to contain words equivalent to love, fuck, save, and kill. His name is a Latin pun. Non esse is not to be. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Latin's not very, I'm not very good with Latin. The opposite of 2B's 2B. It could also be read as the German no ID, referring to Freud's theory of ID, ego, and superego. Though this is not proper German grammar. 9S's English voice actor, Kyle McCarley, was told in the recording booth that 9S would be around 19 years old if he were a human. And there you have it. Everything you ever wanted to know, well, as far as I know, about YoRHa unit Type 9S. I didn't really want to get into more complex stuff like gameplay as a playable character. It's better if you just play the game yourself and experience it, because there's a lot, they go into a lot of detail here. But I can tell you that his skills with hacking is very proficient. He's able to hack into machines and either cause them to self-destruct, attack other machines, or support you. And there's also actually an achievement you can get for that as well, which requires you to hack, so many machines. But yeah, this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and hopefully, this video happens to reach him, and I hope that I did justice on one of his favorite, his favorite character from the Nier Automata series. So if you're out there and you're watching the podcast, then I hope I did 9S justice. And with that being said, we've reached the end of the podcast. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. It took me a little while to get all the preparations done for this podcast. There was some complications that I ran into, but I'm glad I got it done. If you support me on Patreon or Twitch or anything else, you'll be able to get access to these videos 24 hours before they go live. I have a Discord server with the information in there that you can join, but you can check out my Twitch, my Discord, my Twitter, my Patreon. I'll have the music tracks listed that I used in the podcast in the description, as well as the websites that I use to design my thumbnails and fonts. And once again, I just appreciate everybody's support. And if you want to, hit that subscribe button and knock that bell so that way you'll get notifications every time I upload. And without further ado, I've been WalkerOfNothing. You've been watching the Watcher Podcast episode 5, and I hope you have a good one, and I'll see ya.